Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. This Saturday is UFC 292, Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley for the bantamweight title, and this is going to be my full card predictions. I'm going to go through every single fight on the card and give you a quick breakdown and prediction. Now, before I get into my predictions, there may be two more fights added to this card. There will at least be one for the Ultimate Fighter finale. It'll be Brad Katona versus someone. We don't know that opponent yet because that episode has to air on Tuesday, and also the UFC is looking for a replacement opponent to take on Mario Batista. We don't know if that's even going to happen yet. If those fights are added, which at least one of them will be, I will update it on Friday during my UFC 292 pre-fight live stream. So starting with the first fight of the night, the Ultimate Fighter finale, Kurt Holobaugh versus Austin Hubbard. This is a matchup of two UFC vets. Kurt Holobaugh, I believe this is his third stint in the UFC once he steps in the cage at UFC 292. Doesn't have a win in the UFC. He's 0-4 in the UFC. He's 36 years old. He's coming off of 2 wins on the Ultimate Fighter. One where he got out-grappled and got a submission towards the end of the second round, so it was like a Hail Mary submission. The other one, he beat the brakes off of Jason Knight. Austin Hubbard coming off of 2 wins on the Ultimate Fighter as well. Nothing super impressive. Just kind of mixing it all in, mixing his striking and grappling. Before that, one thing I want to point out is Austin Hubbard, much more active before the Ultimate Fighter. Fought 9 months ago and also fought a year ago. Won both those fights. Kurt Holobaugh fought 2 years, 2 months ago and 2 years, 8 months ago before the Ultimate Fighter. And when I look at this matchup, I think Austin Hubbard is just a little bit more well-rounded. I think he has the wrestling in his back pocket. We've seen Kurt Holobaugh. He loves to just go out there and brawl. He did that against Jason Knight. Jason Knight is literally the epitome of a BKFC fighter. So it's like a stylistically perfect matchup for Kurt Holobaugh just to press forward and use his volume, use his pace. But I think Austin Hubbard, more well-rounded, has the wrestling, has decent technical ability on the feet, and I just see Austin Hubbard winning this fight via decision. I could see Hubbard losing the third round as he does tend to slow down, especially if he has to grapple, and Holobaugh has excellent stamina. I think he has an advantage in stamina in this fight. It's a 3-round fight. I'm going Austin Hubbard, 29-28 decision. I see him maybe losing the third round, starting to slow down, but I think gets the first and second round, just mixing in the striking, mixing in the grappling. He'll have Holobaugh kind of questioning what to throw on the feet because he's worried about the takedown, and we've seen Holobaugh taken down in control before. So I'm going Hubbard, 29-28 decision. Moving up on the card, Maryna Moroz versus Karine Silva, a rematch from roughly 10 years ago when Karine Silva was only 19 years old, 20 years old, where she got submitted via armbar against Maryna Moroz. Maryna Moroz coming off that loss to Jennifer Maia, which isn't a good look. It was a competitive fight. Karine Silva on a long winning streak. Also, I wanted to mention 16 wins, 16 finishes for Karine Silva. And I think what this fight comes down to, I think Karine Silva has improved massively since their first fight. I think that first fight means absolutely nothing compared to this rematch 10 years later. She was 19, 20 years old at that point in time. I think Moroz has an advantage in the technical striking, but she can't close the distance because she's not super athletic. She's not super fast. She has very good grappling as well, but I think Karine Silva, her BJJ level is going to be much higher than Maryna Moroz. And I see Karine Silva going out there, taking her down, controlling her, using her jiu-jitsu just to do some damage on the ground, land some ground and pound. I'm going second round rear naked choke win for Karine Silva. I think she'll get Maryna Moroz down. I think she'll try to get back up using the fence. I think she'll give up her back to Karine Silva. And I see Karine Silva just jumping on that rear naked choke. Second round rear naked choke submission for Karine Silva. Moving up on the card, another great women's MMA fight. Andrea versus Natália Silva. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. Natália Silva is a women's MMA fighter that I could see as a future champion at flyweight in the UFC. She's on a long winning streak. She's looked amazing. I mean, her last fight, she got a finish via KO, TKO against Victoria Leonardo. Fight before that, spinning back kick KO against Teresa Bleda. Great win. Andrea on a 2-fight losing streak. Lost to Macy Barber. I thought she won that fight and got robbed. Fight before that, lost to Viviane Araujo. So not the worst competition. This fight, though, I think Natália Silva is way more athletic, way more powerful, and I think Andrea has a slight advantage in the grappling, but I don't think she's going to be able to go out there and just take Natália Silva down and control her. I don't think she's going to be able to do that. Now, maybe she can win some rounds by holding her up against the fence, but I think Natália Silva, great movement, great footwork, super explosive on the feet. I'm going Natália Silva, second round TKO. I think she's going to clip Andrea I'm going to say with a head kick in the second round, drop her, and then swarm her on the ground. Natália Silva's too fast, too young, too athletic. She's 26 years old, where Andrea Lee's 34 years old. And Andrea Lee does have a significant 4.5-inch reach and a 2-inch height advantage. I don't think it's going to matter because Natália Silva is leaps and bounds faster than her on the feet. I mean, Andrea Lee was getting caught by shots from Maycee Barber. And I know Maycee Barber, that loss has kind of aged well. Maycee Barber getting the big win in her last fight. But I think Natália Silva is just so fast on the feet, so powerful, has great finishing ability, 12 out of 15 wins via finish. I think she gets it done. Second round TKO for Natália Silva. Moving up on the card, we have Gerald Meerschaert versus Andre Petroski. This is a great fight. This is a great step up in competition for Andre Petroski. Has looked pretty good in the UFC. He's coming off a win over Wellington Turman. Started to look like momentum was shifting towards Wellington Turman, I believe, in the second round. But then Petroski just dominated him in the third round. Gerald Meerschaert's kind of hit or miss. He's really like the, litmus test for the guys up and coming. Can they be a future contender? Gerald Meerschaert's that guy to really test them. We see him test Khamzat Chimaev where he got finished in like the first 20 seconds. He's coming off a loss against Joe Pyfer where he looked like he didn't even want to fight, got clipped badly, and basically just quit after that. He's 35 years old. Gerald Meerschaert is 35 years old. His striking has not evolved. He leaves his chin square up in the air, and the only real skill he has at this point in time, don't get me wrong, he has okay power if he catches you, and he has heavy kicks, but it's a submission game. And can he submit Andre Petroski? That is the question in this fight. Can he get him down? Can he submit him? Can he hurt him and then submit him? He hurt Bruno Silva, then got the guillotine in a fight that was competitive, but I think Bruno Silva was winning that fight. I think Andre Petroski I think he's too big, too strong, has too good of a grappling. I don't think Gerald Meerschaert can go out there and just take him down and control him at all. And I think Andre Petroski is faster and more athletic and more powerful in the feet. I'm actually going Andre Petroski first round KO. I've seen Petroski landed some good shots on Wellington Turman's chin, and I think Gerald Meerschaert is just too slow, too old. He's 35 years old, where Andre Petroski's 32, so not that far behind him, but 35 years old in MMA is getting up there in age, and in the middleweight division, it's not as bad. But I just think Andre Petroski is going to be significantly faster than him. I think he's going to clip him on the chin early. I think he's going to hurt him badly, and I think he's going to finish Gerald Meerschaert in the first round. Moving up on the card, we have Gregory Rodrigues versus Denis Tiuliulin. This is another great fight. This card is actually really, really good. I know it's kind of been devastated by different injuries and pullouts, but Gregory Rodrigues coming back after that brutal KO loss against Bruno Ferreira, where Bruno Ferreira stepped in on short notice and KO'd him. Denis Tiuliulin coming off that loss to Jung Park, where he basically just got taken down and submitted easily. 31 to 35 years old. Denis Tiuliulin, 35 years old. Gregory Rodrigues looks about 45, but he's only 31 years old, which is crazy to me. 6'3" for Gregory Rodrigues, so a 2-inch height advantage, 2-inch reach advantage for Tiuliulin. Tiuliulin really doesn't have any power, just likes to use his technical striking ability. He's good in the clinch, has good elbows over the top in the clinch, which I think maybe if he clinches up with Gregory Rodrigues, lands a nasty elbow on the break or over the top, he could KO Gregory Rodrigues. I don't know how his chin is going to be coming back from that brutal KO against Bruno Ferreira, but I just think, you have Denis Tiuliulin, who's a mediocre striker at best, and also he can be taken down and controlled a bit. And I think Gregory Rodrigues is big, strong. I think he has the grappling as well that he can mix in. We don't see too much of it because he looks to work the KOs, but I just think Gregory Rodrigues is too durable, too powerful, younger, faster, more athletic, more well-rounded, and I think Tiuliulin basically has to win a decision or clip him with a really big shot and hope that Gregory Rodrigues' chin is completely gone. I'm going to go Gregory Rodrigues second round TKO. I seen the way Jung Park just absolutely manhandled Denis Tiuliulin, and I think Gregory Rodrigues coming off a loss, I think he's going to come into this fight, and I think he's going to look to play it safe. I think he's going to mix in the grappling. I think he'll get Tiuliulin down. I think he'll control him a bit. I think he'll beat him up a bit. I think it'll be a dominant first round for Gregory Rodrigues. And then I think in the second round, it's really going to be the writing on the wall, and I think Gregory Rodrigues will get another takedown. I think maybe he'll mount him, just start beating him up. I'm going to say Gregory Rodrigues second round TKO. Full mount, ground and pound elbows, really beats up Denis Tiuliulin. Maybe even gets a rear naked choke in the second round, but I'm going Gregory Rodrigues second round TKO. Moving up on the card, and I believe this may be a main card fight. I'm not 100% sure yet because the UFC is still looking for an opponent for Mario Batista, but I'm thinking this will be the first fight on the main card. Chris Weidman versus Brad Tavares. Chris Weidman returning after a long layoff. He literally broke his leg about 2.5 years ago. against Uriah Hall. And before that, he was on a downslope. You know, you got a win over Omari Akhmedov, but looked like a shell of himself. Before that, got KO'd by Dominic Reyes. Before that, got KO'd by Jacare Souza. And he had losses to Yoel Romero and Gegard Mousasi and Luke Rockhold before that, not in that particular order. But he was already on a downslope. He's 39 years old, and now he's returning from a catastrophic injury against Brad Tavares. Now, Brad Tavares on a 2-fight losing streak, got finished by Bruno Silva in his last fight, got finished by Dricus du Plessis in the fight before that, but was in that Dricus fight very much. And I think Weidman, if you haven't watched him, because a lot of newer fans haven't seen Chris Weidman, his basic game plan is wrestling and his jiu-jitsu. He likes to take you down, look to beat you up, use his jiu-jitsu, maybe find a submission. Brad Tavares is super well-rounded, and he's powerful in the feet, and he's super gritty as well. I mean, he had an outright war with Dricus du Plessis, and we've seen how good Dricus du Plessis is, especially in those crazy wars. So I just can't pick Chris Weidman in this fight. His chin was already gone before the injury. He's got basically 2.5 years of ring rust. I'm going Brad Tavares first round KO, and I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. Maybe Brad Tavares just by decision. I just think Weidman, there's no way he comes back better. He's been out for 2.5 years almost. And to come back from that significant of an injury, a catastrophic leg break, I don't know if he's going to trust that leg to throw kicks in there. I don't trust his chin from even before then. And I think Brad Tavares has good striking, good power, and Chris Weidman's striking was never that good. He used the threat of the grappling to set up the striking. Now, prime Chris Weidman would have went out there and out-grappled Brad Tavares and probably found a submission, but I just don't think he can do it in this fight. I don't think, after sitting out for this long, I don't think he's going to have the stamina. I don't think he's going to have the striking, and I don't think he's going to have the chin, and I don't think he's going to have the confidence at 39 years old to get it done. Brad Tavares is 35 years old, and he fought 3 months ago. Now, he got finished, so maybe his chin's gone. Maybe Weidman catches him and KOs him. But I think the Chris Weidman of old, the one that knocked out Anderson Silva, I don't think he's there anymore. This Chris Weidman is a different Chris Weidman. And while I'm rooting for him to have a decent return, at least fight to a hard-fought decision, even if he loses, I just think he's going to get brutally slept in the first round by Brad Tavares. And he's probably going to end up retiring because he's going to look like he's going to look horrible in this fight because it's not easy to come back from a catastrophic injury after 2 years, especially when you've been in the USADA pool. You know, Conor McGregor, who was out of the USADA pool abusing PEDs, maybe he has a decent return because of that, and he's getting probably an exemption from USADA. But that's besides the point. I think Weidman going to not have any confidence in this fight at 39 years old. I don't think he can go out there and get it done against Brad Tavares. And I'm going Brad Tavares first round KO. Moving up on the card, an amazing bantamweight matchup. Marlon Vera versus Pedro Munhoz. Really looking forward to this fight. Marlon Vera coming off that split decision loss against Corey Sandhagen. Should not have been a split decision loss by any means. Before that, KO'd Dominic Cruz. Before that, got a decision win over Rob Font, where at one point in that fight, he landed sweet chin music and hurt Rob Font. Marlon Vera has looked really good, but at some points, he's looked horrible. I mean, not that long ago, he was getting out-grappled by Frank Yeager. Came back and got a front kick KO win. But it's weird. Like, Marlon Vera is super gritty, super durable, has unbelievable stamina, but doesn't have the best grappling. And also, sometimes he's just a slow starter, and sometimes he'll just be stuck in neutral. And that's kind of what happened to him against Corey Sandhagen. And also, he got out-grappled in that fight. Now, Pedro Munhoz got a win over Chris Gutierrez in his last fight, roughly 4 months ago. And a lot of people expected him to lose that fight. Before that, he got eye-poked by Sean O'Malley, and it ended up being a no contest. He won the first round in that fight. Before that, lost to Dominic Cruz, almost finished Dominic Cruz. Before that, lost to Jose Aldo. Honestly, Pedro Munhoz, for the longest time, was one of the most underrated bantamweights on the roster. But now he's 36 years old. He looks so small in there against other bantamweights. He's 5'6". Vera's only 5'8", so only a 2-inch height advantage. But look at this reach advantage, a 5.5-inch reach advantage for Marlon Vera. I think Marlon Vera goes out there and gets it done via decision, but I think it's going to be a close, competitive fight. I'm going to say 29-28 decision for Marlon Vera. I think it's going to be a leg kick battle. I think Pedro Munhoz has amazing leg kicks, as well as Marlon Vera has amazing leg kicks, so I think we're going to see a lot of good leg kicks in this fight. I just think Marlon Vera will be able to close the distance a little bit more, and also I think at his age, I think Marlon Vera is just more durable than Pedro Munhoz. I could see Pedro Munhoz, eventually that chin's got to go. He's got an excellent chin. He's taken a lot of good shots. He had that outright war years ago against Cody Garbrandt. And I think Marlon Vera has some of the best power in the bantamweight division. And I could see a scenario where Marlon Vera got this finish, and maybe that was the end of Pedro Munhoz as we knew it. But I think this is a winnable fight for Pedro Munhoz as well. I think this is a great stylistic matchup. Originally, they had Marlon Vera versus Henry Cejudo, which I wasn't super excited for because I thought it was a horrible matchup for Vera, who doesn't have the best grappling. But I don't think either one of these guys is going to mix in the grappling in this fight. I think this is going to be a back and forth striking battle. Both guys using their kicks, looking to rip kicks to the calf, looking to rip body kicks. And I think Marlon Vera is also going to mix in some head kicks. But I think Marlon Vera, younger, faster, more durable, and has better stamina than Pedro Munhoz. I'm going Marlon Vera via 29-28 decision. Maybe Pedro Munhoz just gets a very razor close round. I'm going to say Munhoz gets the first round, razor close first round, and then Marlon Vera starts to take over in the second and third round. Moving up on the card, we have Neil Magny versus Ian Garry. Disappointed in this matchup. Was supposed to be Ian Garry versus Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal pulled out for whatever reason. And Neil Magny steps in. I'm not dying to see this matchup. I was really looking forward to seeing Ian Garry versus Jeff Neal. Neil Magny is just kind of a gatekeeper for the top 15, a gatekeeper for the top 10. I believe he's currently ranked like number 11 in the UFC welterweight division. This is going to test Ian Garry's grappling. We haven't really seen his grappling tested all that much. His last fight, he KO'd Daniel Rodrigues, got a head kick. It was a nasty KO. That was a good win for Ian Garry. But Daniel Rodrigues, a bit overrated, lost to Li Jingliang. Arguably, some people thought it was a razor-close fight. Could have went either way. Fight before that, beat Kenan Song. Got hurt in that fight. The Gabe Green fight, won. Pretty impressive win there. I think he got hurt by Darian Weeks in their fight. I might be mistaken on that one. It might have been the Jordan Williams fight. That was his UFC debut where Ian Garry got the KO. I think Ian Garry improving every single fight. And I think Neil Magny is a guy that's been around forever. He's 36 years old. He likes to mix in the clinch and grappling, and he's very well-rounded. But against elite-level grapplers, Neil Magny gets out-grappled. And we haven't really seen Ian Garry's grappling really tested significantly. But I don't think that Neil Magny at 36 years old is going to go out there and just out-grapple Ian Garry from bell to bell and win this fight, especially on short notice. Neil Magny is just one of those guys who's just well-rounded, and he's just kind of just good enough to be kind of that measuring stick for the top 15. But as he's gotten older, he's kind of slowed down a bit. And he even has a win over Jeff Neal. But I still believe that Jeff Neal at this point in their careers is a little bit better. You look at Neil Magny, he's been trading wins and losses. He got a win over Philip Rowe in his last fight, split decision. Before that, got absolutely dominated by Gilbert Burns and submitted on the ground. Before that, got a submission win over Daniel Rodrigues. Before that, lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov. So you can see a trend here where Neil Magny is kind of testing up-and-coming talent. And I think Ian Garry in this fight, I think his technical ability is significantly better than Neil Magny on the feet. And as long as he can keep his back off the cage and, keep from being taken down repeatedly by Neil Magny, I think Ian Garry goes out there, uses his distance management, uses his footwork, and just outstrikes Neil Magny. I could see him getting a finish, but Neil Magny is very durable. He's rarely ever finished. And I think Ian Garry's probably going to win this fight. I'm going to go Ian Garry 30-27 decision. I think he goes out there, uses technical ability, just mixes in, kind of avoiding some of the takedowns and mixes in the kicks well, mixes in the body kicks well. I could see him maybe finding a finish because he does have decent KO power. But Neil Magny's so durable. And also he's constantly just trying to close the distance and clinch up with you when you are a better striker than him. But I think Ian Garry's just going to outstrike him, kick at range, kick at the calf, kick to the body, teep kicks to the body, avoid the takedown, circle around the cage, land good combinations with his punches on the feet. I see Ian Garry going out there and putting on a borderline flawless performance against a short notice Neil Magny and his hairline. I'm going Ian Garry 30-27 decision. Moving up on the card, the co-main event, we have Weili Zhang versus Amanda Lemos. This is a great fight. This is highly underrated. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. Weili Zhang, coming off that brilliant win against Carla Esparza, her grappling and wrestling looked amazing. She ended up putting Carla Esparza in a crucifix and ended up finding a rear naked choke. Fight before that, finished Joanna Jędrzejczyk, KO'd her with a spinning back fist. She does have the 2 losses to Rose Namajunas. The 1 loss is a split decision loss, which I honestly thought Weili Zhang won, but it could have won either way. Fight before that, she just got head kick KO'd in the first round. And so I don't really hold that against her too much. Plus Rose Namajunas, one of the best women's strawweight fighters. Really looking, this is a great matchup, and it's being massively overlooked. Nobody's talking about it. You have Amanda Lemos coming off a win over Maryna Rodrigues, who was looked at as a #1 contender on her way up, goes out there, finishes her. It was a bit of an early finish in my opinion, but landed nasty combinations, super fast, super powerful. Fight before that beat Michelle Waterson, submitted her via guillotine, so it just shows her well-rounded game. But Michelle Waterson, not the greatest of fighter, and Michelle Waterson even able to take Lemos down a couple times and control her a bit. Before that, she lost to Jessica Andrade. And the Jessica Andrade fight is a weird one because it's only roughly a year and a half ago. She got caught with a standing arm triangle and gets submitted, but it just kind of happened out of nowhere. You know, Jessica Andrade just latched onto it on the feet. And it was, I don't want to say it's a fluky loss, but if they fight again, I'm probably favoring Amanda Lemos. This is a matchup that I think is going to be really fun while it lasts. I think Weili Zhang's the better kickboxer. I think Weili Zhang is constantly improving. It's hard for me to believe that Weili Zhang's 34 years old, but Amanda Lemos is 36 years old. I think Weili is going to be more technical in the feet. I think she's more powerful. I think both of them are super well-rounded, and I think Lemos does have some decent jiu-jitsu and a decent submission game, but I think you have Weili Zhang. I mean, she's so athletic. She's so athletic. Her scrambles are unbelievable. The scrambles that she performed in the Carla Esparza fight. Carla Esparza is an excellent wrestler and grappler. And the scrambles that she performed in that fight were unbelievable. And I just think every way you look, Weili Zhang's better than Amanda Lemos. So I'm going to go Weili Zhang second round TKO. I just think Lemos likes to charge forward and spam powerful hooks, and I think Weili Zhang will be able to get out of the way of those shots. I think she'll be able to get out of the way of the shots. She'll land her own shots. She may mix in the grappling because I think Lemos' wrestling is probably her biggest weakness in her game. She does have BJJ, so she could find a submission if Weili Zhang makes a mistake. But Weili Zhang, I don't think she's going to get submitted by Amanda Lemos. I don't think Amanda Lemos has the skills to pull off a submission against Weili Zhang. And I think Weili Zhang, her footwork, her athleticism, her speed, her kickboxing, I mean, her leg kicks are unbelievable. And also, we've never seen Amanda Lemos go 5 rounds. We've seen Weili Zhang have 5-round wars. I'll never forget that first fight against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. It was an absolute crazy all-out war. And, I mean, we've never seen Amanda Lemos even get into something like that ever. She's never had a 5-round fight. So even if this fight goes long, I still see Weili Zhang maybe getting a late finish. But I think Weili Zhang is going to show that she is the superior fighter in this fight. I think she's going to clip her up badly in the second round, finish her in the second round. Remember Weili Zhang just going out there and demolishing Jessica Andrade? I mean, that was years ago to win the belt. But I think it's going to be a similar case in this one. I think Weili Zhang's clearly going to be better in the first round, but I think she's going to be a little bit more reserved and get her timing and everything. And then I think in the second round, she's going to clip Amanda Lemos badly and just go on absolute onslaught, killer instinct, go swarm her up against the fence, drop her, finish her with ground and pound. I'm going Weili Zhang second round TKO. Moving on to the main event, Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley. What a bantamweight title fight that this is. You have Sean O'Malley coming off the win over Petr Yan. Split decision win. Brutal robbery in my opinion. I even watched it back multiple times. Petr Yan, in my opinion, won all 3 rounds. I think the first round is closer than the third round. The third round, all Sean O'Malley did was land that knee. I think Petr Yan landed better shots, but that's besides the point. That's not the point of this video. Nonetheless, in that Petr Yan fight, Sean O'Malley proved that he belongs up there and he is competitive with the elite of the elite in the bantamweight division. But you look at the rest of Sean O'Malley's career, okay? Raulian Paiva. I'm looking at his wins right now. Raulian Paiva, Chris Monteiro, Thomas Almeida, Eddie Wineland, Jose Alberto Quinones, and that's all his UFC wins. That's all his UFC wins. You know what all those opponents have in common? They're no longer in the UFC. The only win against a fighter currently on the UFC roster is against Petr Yan at UFC 280 last October. And that was a brutal robbery in my opinion. Then you look at Aljamain Sterling and look at the course of his career, and I know he's super, disrespected, and a lot of people kind of make excuses for some of his wins. Beats Henry Cejudo in his last fight at UFC 288. Beats TJ Dillashaw, absolutely destroys TJ Dillashaw. Beats Petr Yan via split decision. And then, of course, wins the one fight, wins the title via DQ, which is a lot of the reason that people don't like him. But look at, he has a win over Corey Sandhagen where he went out there and absolutely destroyed him, rear naked choked him in the first round. I have to go with Aljamain Sterling in this fight. I think the grappling is so much better for Aljamain Sterling. And I will say, I think Sean O'Malley's being a little bit underrated in this fight because as good as Aljamain Sterling's grappling is and superior to Sean O'Malley's, I think Sean O'Malley's striking is that much superior than Aljamain Sterling. And I also think you have the X factor where you have Aljamain Sterling making a very quick turnaround, a little over a 3-month turnaround, where you have Sean O'Malley's been preparing since last October. So Sean O'Malley's had roughly 10 months to prepare for Aljamain Sterling, where Aljamain Sterling's making back-to-back weight cuts and only had basically 3 months to prepare for Sean O'Malley because he fought Henry Cejudo in his last fight. But I just think Aljamain Sterling's grappling is way far superior to Sean O'Malley's, and Sean O'Malley got out-grappled by Petr Yan, and I do think Petr Yan is an excellent grappler. He even out-grappled Aljamain Sterling at some points in both their fights. But I think one thing that I saw that was super alarming against Petr Yan is how often Sean O'Malley gave up his back to try to get back to his feet, and Petr Yan was prioritizing damage over control. Aljamain Sterling will not make that same mistake. Aljamain Sterling will prioritize control. He'll look to get the body triangle. He'll look to get control before he even attempts to get off damage or look for a submission. And I just don't think Sean O'Malley has the BJJ and has the wrestling to be able to defend against Aljamain Sterling. I'm going Aljamain Sterling first round rear naked choke submission. I think Aljamain Sterling is just so much better than O'Malley on the ground. And I think Aljamain Sterling has a decent fight IQ where he's going to come out there. He's not going to close the distance super early, but he's going to be very technically sound. He's not going to throw a whole lot of shots, but he's going to feint his way, boom, immediately shoot in on a takedown like a minute and a half in, get a takedown, get a body lock up against the fence, and just not let go of that body lock. And I think eventually he's going to drag Sean O'Malley down within 20, 30 seconds of getting that body lock, and I think he's just going to work to get to the back. And I could see Aljamain Sterling just pounding him out because maybe O'Malley's just been training nonstop rear naked choke defense for the last 10 months, and maybe it's just so solid that Aljamain Sterling can't get the finish. But once he gets that body lock, it's hard to get him off you. Look what he did to Petr Yan. He got the body lock. Petr Yan wasn't able to get out of it. I don't think Sean O'Malley would be able to get out of it. Petr Yan was out grappling him with ease, taking him down with ease. I think Aljamain Sterling going to be bigger, going to be stronger, and has a massive jiu-jitsu and submission advantage. And also, I think Sean O'Malley's limited on the feet in what he can throw because he starts throwing too many wild kicks and spinning attacks. He's going to end up getting taken down off of Aljamain Sterling catching a kick or snatching his back up when he does a spin. I think that could legitimately happen. So I think Sean O'Malley's going to come in with a smart game plan, look to just move and move and move and circle and circle and circle and use his footwork and look to throw basically straight punches, and then that limits your attack. And I think Aljamain will find a way to close the distance. He'll get him up against the cage. He'll get the body lock. He'll drag him to the ground. He'll eventually work his way to the back, and I think eventually he'll find a rear naked choke. I think it's going to be similar to the Corey Sandhagen fight. I'm going Aljamain Sterling, first round rear naked choke, unless Sean O'Malley just really clips him with a knee coming in and absolutely sleeps Aljamain Sterling and the weight cuts affected him massively. I don't see how Sean O'Malley wins this fight against Aljamain Sterling. So I'm picking Aljamain Sterling to retain his bantamweight title. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.